You may not realize it, but you are irrational. At least, that's what researchers in a growing new science are saying. That science is behavioral economics, and it is changing the way we see human thought and action. You will pay more for a bottle of wine if it is sitting next to an expensive bottle than if it's sitting next to a cheap one. You will go out of your way and spend money to obtain a free drink or t-shirt, even if it's something that you don't want or need. You fear plane crashes more than car crashes, even though plane crashes are much less common and are much less likely to kill you than car crashes. And, like the vast majority of us, you think you're above average at driving, attractiveness, and smarts. In short, you are irrational. Now, you may feel level-headed, you may even think you make some good choices here and there, but the science is hard to refute. In the last few decades, a number of disciplines have converged at the spot where behavioral economics now stands. Cognitive science, neurobiology, psychology, sociology, and traditional economics have all made significant advances in the later half of the 20th century and beginning of the 21st, giving us a comprehensive view of how the brain works and how we make decisions as a result. In short, behavioral economics uses brain imaging and psychological experiments to explain exactly why we do the things we do. What they've found counters everything we know about human thought and decision-making. To begin, science shows that we don't make decisions based on intentional deliberation like we think we do. Studies have found that almost all of what we think and do is based on brain processes that occur below the level of consciousness, in the subconscious or unconscious mind, as it's known. Estimates are that sense organs take in more than 11 million pieces of information every second, and that only about 50 of those pieces can be processed consciously. Think about that. 11 megabytes of information every second. That's War and Peace 3.5 times in a split second, and only about 50 of those bytes, a single mention of Pyotr Kirillovich, can be focused on and made sense of. So, what happens to the rest of those 11 million pieces of information? That is where the subconscious comes in. With its immense modular processing capacity, the subconscious brain is where pretty much all of our thinking and thus imagining, decision-making, and goal-seeking takes place. How we walk, talk, and drive to begin with, but also how we select groceries, identify good leaders, and choose career paths. All of these have been shown to be heavily influenced, if not completely dictated, by automatic, subconscious systems and not conscious thought as was formerly believed. The implications are patently Freudian. Most of what we experience is made up of unthinking processes. The substance that makes us who we are is almost wholly made up of the unintentional and instinctive activities of our brains. As researchers have shown, this unconscious thought often results in harmful and self-defeating actions. Over the course of 40 years, researchers have conducted scores of experiments that show how people reliably make choices that are based on random influences that go directly against their own intentions. People are so irrational, it turns out, that they often hurt their own interests. Different studies focus on different aspects of behavior. The result is a list of some 100 cognitive errors that span the gamut. Cognitive errors are mistakes that we make in the decision-making process somewhere between sensory input and bodily action. The more familiar errors include the anchoring effect, where people base decisions on information anchors even if those anchors are irrelevant to the decisions. Loss aversion, where people fail to make economically sound decisions simply to avoid loss. And the halo effect, a part-to-whole fallacy where people tend to judge someone's entire person based on a single specific attribute. According to behavioral researchers, everyone is subject to these errors at any given time, even when intentionally trying to avoid them or aware of viable alternatives.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it. at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.